Yo, so I kind of, I don't know. I don't know, man. That's weird. Consistency is hard, I think. Um, I struggle with consistency the most of anything in my life, I think. Excuse the vape. It comes through the mask, that's pretty cool. I have never realized that before. But, yeah, consistency, man. Consistency's a motherfucker, dude. Because consistency leads to everything. Consistency leads to all the good and all the bad that you're ever gonna get in your life, I think. And the only thing I've ever been consistent at is being inconsistent and always fluctuating and always moving and always bouncing up and down and between stuff. And I didn't have much, if any, consistency in my life until very, very recently, probably last year or so. And it opened so many doors. It gave me so many opportunities to really pursue things I wanted to do in ways that I wanted to do them. And I think having the ability to discipline yourself well enough so that you may be consistent is one of the most important kind of talismans, skills, abilities, whatever you want to call it, you can have. I think the ability to just make yourself do something, no matter how how much you might not want to do it, or how no matter how much like your insides are telling you not to do it, and still make yourself do it. That's courage, you know. Sometimes that can be respect. So that it leads to all of these things, not just that you're able to do, but that you're able to embody because you have this governance over yourself. And that I think is that's going to be the great struggle of my life. Is not the dreaming and the scheming and the planning and the hypothesizing. I think it's the consistency of turning up every day and making myself do it. Because there's nothing scarier to me, I don't think, than just doing the same thing over and over again every day for the rest of my life. I don't want to do that. I want to see new things and meet new people and explore and adventure and get the fuck out of here, you know? But to get to that point where it enables me to do things like that, I need to be consistent. And to be able to go on those journeys and to see those places and to meet those people and to eat that food, I need to be consistent. For myself, not for anybody else. Not to meet a deadline or not to win somebody's approval or to, you know, not to kind of put myself in anybody's clock, you know, not to kind of box myself in, but to push myself for myself so that I may open up the opportunity for myself to do more things. And that was one thing that kind of was hard to drill into myself because I've always been pushed so much by other people and influenced by other people and lent on and advised, you know, that the one thing I always wanted to come from myself, I feel like the energy that I always kind of wanted to embody and what I wanted to put into the world was like never force myself to do anything I don't want to do, always be comfortable, always be happy in the moment. And I think in chasing that happiness in the moment, I led myself to kind of a point of disarray. In that one kind of period of consistent behavior I've had, it put me in like the worst position I've ever been in my entire life, just because that behavior was consistently bad and consistently negative and consistently detrimental to myself and my life, you know. And now I don't want that. I want to be able to wake up tomorrow and feel good when I wake up. That's kind of the goal for every day, is to wake up tomorrow and feel good. Don't do anything today that's going to stop you from waking up tomorrow and feeling good. Don't do anything today that, or do things today that are going to enable you and allow you and guarantee you to wake up tomorrow feeling fucking fantastic, you know? But that's kind of the scale you have to operate on, is that you stop doing the bullshit that's just going to make you feel horrible in the morning. And then you slowly progress into doing the things that are going to make you feel great. And I'm kind of in that transitional period right now, I think. And throughout that transition, one must be consistent. And to complete that transition, one must be consistent, you know? Yeah, one must be consistent. And I feel like I talk really weird, you know, because I've got all this kind of blended like patterns of speech and vocabulary and pronunciation and stuff like that, you know. I feel like I talk inconsistently too. I can't even talk consistently, but you know, I speak to different people and they'll think I'm from completely different places, you know, in the UK. Like people from where I'm from don't think I'm from around here. People from down south think I'm from up north. People from up north think I'm from down south. It's a whole mad kind of thing. And I think it's just kind of like I'm always code switching. I'm always masking to some extent. I'm always kind of trying to blend in, trying to fit in to not expectations or that anybody else has of me, but kind of I want to embody the type of person and act like the type of person that's going to allow me to go through this environment as seamlessly and frictionlessly as possible in terms of unwanted friction, unwelcome friction. There's some things that I quite happily kind of get amongst and feel not threatened but nervous within, and there's some things that I just I can't I can't knowingly participate in that authentically. So I have to just fucking put the fucking face on, you know. And I hate that. I really, really hate that. And I've tried to turn my back on as many of those things in my life as I can, you know, because I'm pretty intense and driven and, you know, whatever else. and I'm pretty focused on the things that I care about, and I'm pretty unfocused on the things I don't care about. And it's not a choice thing. It's not a selfish thing. It's just how I'm built. I've always been like it, and because of kind of a lot of the issues I struggle with, it's really difficult for me to be in certain environments around certain people at certain times because in order for me to kind of be at peace and to be comfortable with myself and to unmask myself, I need to really not. I need to be out of those environments for a while. I need to kind of recon, recalibrate, recombobulate, and get used to just being kind of amongst my own company again. And I know the more that these kind of environments are moved into or kind of thrust upon me, it just makes everything really hard. Makes things really, really hard to navigate through. You know, makes things really hard to navigate through. And I think consistency is fundamental to growth and progress. Uh, That consistency is in the showing up. That consistency is in the participation. It's not in the results, you know. And sometimes when it shows up to these, when I'm in these environments, and when I get out of them, and I haven't kind of, rose to the occasion, or I've been a bit quiet, or I kind of kept myself to myself a little bit, I feel like I failed, you know. I feel like I didn't give people the person they paid to see, if that makes sense. Because I didn't say something, or I didn't put my real self out there, you know, or even my fake self, or a fake self, just for that moment, you know. And I'm just there, fucking not intolerant of the environment. I'm polite and shit still, you know, but I'm just not clocked in at all. And I feel like that's some level of failure, or at least it feels like some level of failure to me. And I know that's not healthy kind of thought process to have. I know I need to kind of sit with myself and think about that and kind of think like why do I care? I shouldn't care. I do care. I do care because other people's opinions of me for a reason are very important, almost like encoded into my brain as like fundamental to my survival. What somebody else thinks of me is far more important to my survival than what I think of me, at least in my own head. And that comes off the back of unresolved shit, I think. And how do I change that? How do I change that thing of other people's perception is the route to my survival? How is one even able to change that? Well, you put yourself in an environment where survival is a challenge and no one else is present, right? You learn. You go and you learn. And that's kind of the next step in my piece, I think, is I need to put myself in challenging and comfortable positions, independent of people or other people or myself or whatever being present, and fail, actually fail, and try again, and then fail, and then try again, and then fail. Until I get to a point where I understand that I'm confident in myself that my survival is not contingent on the perspectives of other people. Because I think that's where kind of a lot of the rot has come from, kind of within my psyche and in my soul, is how other people perceive me and how I want other people to perceive me, and potentially changing myself in action or in words or even potentially in appearance to become more presentable or become something to that that I think is more presentable to other people. And that kind of goes inside the roots of my soul. But the way out of that is consistency, consistency in action with absolute intention of what you're trying to find. And it will get out of there. It will fix things. It will change the way that I think about other people and the way that I think about myself. You know? Well, what is the action? What is the action? What is the thing? What is the way of finding that comfort in my own abilities and my own capabilities to keep myself afloat? Most people find that in exercise. You know, when people work out and they say they like to feel strong, it's not just because they like to feel strong in like their bodies. They're strong in their heart and their soul and their mind because the every lift is a result of every lift before it, you know, and it's accumulating asset, you know, compound interest in that. And you know, people will fucking lift a certain weight, and it's not like you were working on that weight for 2 weeks. It doesn't matter when you set the goal. You wouldn't have got there if it weren't for the three whatever fucking years of work that you put together, right? And I think I need to maybe do something like that. Maybe set some goals like that, you know. Because I run, but I've been inconsistent with that. I've only just really got consistent again since the new year. And it's just affirmation, man, you know. It's just affirmation. It's I'm strong, I'm powerful, I am beautiful, I'm independent, you know. But it's one thing to say those things and to tell yourself those things. It's another thing to be those things. And to understand the reality of what it is to be those things and to truly be those things, to truly be strong, to truly be powerful, to truly be independent, to truly be capable. It's easy for dumb people to convince themselves that they're those things by just telling themselves those things because the placebo effect just eventually kind of kicks in and then they convince themselves that they are those things, right? And you don't need to understand any potential realities of action or skill or anything like that, or understanding or capability to actually, convince yourself that you are those things. And to me, that's very unsettling and very uncomfortable because that will lead to people making unhealthy choices. It's marketing at the end of the day, right? That will just lead to people doing dumb shit that is not in the interest of their health or their mind or the people around them or themselves. And they just lunge and throw themselves headfirst with consistency and intention into shit that is just fucking horrible for them. It's just wrong for them. Like addiction and this and that, you know? Because if you could be delusional enough to think that you are, capable when you are incapable, but then that you are competent when you are incompetent, that you are strong when you are weak, shit like that. You could then be delusional enough to think that you are the strongest, you are the smartest, you are the most capable, you are the most competent. Through consistency of not action, but just thought and delusion and nobody popping that bubble and never putting yourself in a situation where that bubble gets popped and never kind of having that reality check, you get to a point where you just convince yourself that I am the fucking best, I am the fucking baddest, I am the most dangerous, dastardliest motherfucker to ever do this shit. And that's not the truth. Because to be that is to become that. To be any of these things is to become these things. It is not simply to convince yourself that you are it. That'll get you so far. Because then some of that, you know, will kind of drip feed in usually. You will get better. You will improve. You will show progress. But you'll never see the end of the path. You'll never see the top of the mountain because the guy that gets to the top of the mountain is sat at the bottom, thinking about how good he is or how good he is, how fast he's gonna climb this fucking mountain, and how much better he's gonna climb this mountain than everybody else. He's just climbing the fucking mountain. Placement by placement, foot by foot, hold by hold. He's just climbing. That's all he's doing. He's just climbing the fucking mountain. And I think I've got mountains to climb. I just need more mountains. you know? I just need more mountains. And I think I found a new mountain recently. That's kind of like spurred me to make this and to kind of remain consistent in this endeavor. Because I read something that was like 90% or 90+% of people who ever make a YouTube video stop after their fourth one or their third one. And I got to 4 videos and I hadn't done one in a bit and I was like, oh, that's me, bro. That's me. Or it could be me if I allow it itself to, if I allow it to be me, if I allow myself to be that person, I am that person. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day is if you allow yourself to be that person, you are that person. If you force yourself to be that person, you are that person. But then there needs to be an understanding that there's a reality that is detached from what you force yourself to be. That's who you actually are. And that is very kind of rambunctious topic to handle. Because that can be sculpted and molded by so many different things. And what people actually understand themselves to be is often not a true representation of who they actually are. hateful people are actually often just scared. Like every kind of positive or every not positive, but like every outward projection, I guess. I'm thinking positive and negative like a magnet, like up and down, not like good and bad, but like every outward kind of projection I think that you have, like every emotion that kind of manifests itself in some sort of like outward way, is just like a contortion and a miscommunication of something else that's like much more like wholesome and much more kind of deep in there and deeply rooted that you can't get out or you don't want to get out. Yeah. And I just want to be consistent enough, be consistent enough, that's all, to allow myself to pursue the things I want to do. And I'm in that process right now. I'm in that process. I am literally slap bang in the middle of that fucking road, in the middle of that journey right now. And this podcast thing, it's an exercise in presence, right? Is I have to be here talking to the camera, talking to you, whoever you may be, about whatever it may be for however long it may be. And I need to grow my consistency in showing up for myself, not for other people, and not for a reward, or not for brownie points, just for me, just for me. Yeah, because if I can't show up for me consistently, how can I, when called upon, show up for the people? Because that's the one thing that's guaranteed to happen in everybody's life. At some point, you're gonna get that knock. You're gonna get that phone call. You know, some shit gonna go down, and somebody gonna need you. And what you do at that moment and how you handle that is very important, in my opinion. So the goal in my head is to get to a point that, so when I'm needed and when I'm called upon and when the shit hits the fan, if the shit hits the fan, I am capable of just showing up for myself and for the people that I care about and the things that I care about. Yeah, because I was talking to a homie about this recently, right? And you know, I think there may not be many ways to kind of live the life you want to live comfortably. Not anymore. It is you are in the bottom of the barrel because you were thrown in there, or you claw your way the fuck out. And there's no in between. And I just don't want to be the guy that dies at the bottom of the barrel. I want to get out the barrel, you know. I at least by the end of all of this shit, I want to be able to pop my head over the top of the barrel and say, shit, this is out here the whole time, you know. This was just beyond these walls this whole time, and I know I never got to see it until now. Yeah, if I get to like kind of have that moment, I'll be happy, you know. I'll be happy. I just don't know how long I've got to do that. I don't know if I've got a long time at all to do that. But that's what this year's to figure out. Is how I'm gonna do that. And it starts with me. It starts with me and my habits and my routines and my actions and what I do. Not what I say, not what I think, not what I know, it's what I do. That is important. And even in knowing that, I'm still scared. And I am still uncertain. I am still doubtful that these things will come to fruition because I know myself. You know, I know myself. I know my shortcomings. I know my weaknesses. I know this fucking shit is all bunged up in there. And I have to dig through 50 feet of it just to get to any of the fucking buttons on the control pad, you know? And we're getting there. We're getting there. I'm so fucking disillusioned and kind of fed up with the whole fucking charade, you know? The whole fucking game being played. Where there are winners and there are losers, you know? I don't wanna be within that. I don't want myself to be subjected to that scrutiny and that ridicule necessarily, you know? I wanna I want to love and to feel loved, and I want to value and to provide value, and I want to do as much or as little as I can or I need to allow those opportunities to be available to other people. But I need to get there first. I need to fucking get there first. I need to be in a position where those things actually exist for me. And we're getting close. Just not, just not all the way yet. But we're gonna take a tea break. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Had a little green tea with honey, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Never said that in my life. Know what I'm saying? I'll say, you know what I'm saying? Or you get me a lot, but you know what I'm saying? No, never said that in my life. But, yeah. Is that the point of it all, man? It's just like, be present, be consistent, show up for the shit that you believe in, and the people you believe in, and the people you care about, and show up for yourself, and make the most you can, and then just die one day. Is that the purpose of it all, you know? I think so. I think so. Yeah, I do. And I just really want to get out there and tell stories, man. I just want to really get the fuck out there and just tell stories. My stories, people's stories, anybody's stories. Just stories, man. Stories. Because they're powerful. Stories are the stuff of legend, you know? Stories are how we know a lot of history. Stories are the shit. Stories are the thing that inspire people and push people and motivate people and convince people and inform people sometimes, you know. Because not every story's fictional, you know. See a lot of movies based on a real story, right? It's, it's not about fiction. It's not about convincing. It's about showing, displaying, portraying. Whether that portrayal is in fiction or portrayal is in non-fiction fact, right? To portray something or somebody as something. Like for example, you watch movies that are made to be movies and movies that are portrayals of events, right? For example, Marvel movies are made to be movies. They are made to be 2 hour experiences that you go into a theater or you put up on the TV, you sit down and watch. And once you watch it, it's all over. And it was, oh, look, wasn't that good? Wasn't that fun? And didn't the villain get fucked up really badly? And isn't the hero really cool? But it's kind of all the same premise. And portrayals of events is like Scorsese, Taxi Driver, you know? Fucking. I hate to say Pulp Fiction because everybody brings up Pulp Fiction, but Pulp Fiction is literally just a portrayal of events. It's not cinematic fucking wunderbar, you know? Even like good old movies are just a portrayal of events, right? And that's why they resonate. And I wanna get out there and tell stories that are real, that make you feel like it's a movie, that make you feel this emotional, inspired, motivated, just fucking holy shit, what the fuck? That's so cool. That's so fucked. That's so funny. Whatever it is, I want to tell those stories. And I think I just, I'm just here, you know. I'm just here telling my stories to you. But today isn't about what's been. Today's about what's coming, you know. I think after 4 episodes, I kind of talked about everything that had been, everything that had happened, everything that, you know, is an explanation or is like the logical conclusion for how things turned out how they turned out, right? But that's not the end of the fucking story. And I just realized that as I was saying what I was saying, like that what has happened is not the fucking story. The story is what's to come because the story ain't over yet. I got a good few more of these in me yet, you know. That's not the story. What to come is the story. And I think, or I at least hope for future episodes to show the progression of that story and the kind of forward progress and actions taken to progress that story and the achievements that have come along with that. And I want to be able to document in real time the pivot from being in my fucking bedroom talking to a camera to being out in the world and seeing these things and doing these things and educating myself and, you know, maybe potentially having a part in educating other people, you know. And it's not off the cards to be able to get that. But I just need a whole lot of work and a whole lot of luck, you know. Whole lot of work and a whole lot of luck. But eventually, that shit will come. I know that shit will come. Just not yet, right? Not yet, but soon. Soon. Yeah. And if you're out there in the world right now, whoever you are, wherever you may be, the only question I will ask you to ask yourself and give yourself an honest answer is, am I doing everything I can? If I can't change my situation, if I can't change my circumstances, if I can't change my finances, if I can't change that shit, am I doing enough to change my thinking and to adopt the perspective necessary to do the things I want to do, to go the places I want to go, and to achieve the things I want to achieve? That is the most fundamental question I think needs to be asked to yourself is, yes, I am hungry. Yes, I am broke. Yes, I am fucked up beyond belief. Yes, I have made mistakes. Yes, I may even be a bad person. I may even be a horrible person. I may even be, you know, this or that. But if I accept That is all that there is, and that is all that I am, and that is all there will ever be, then nothing will ever change. And you need, if you want to find your way in the world, and you want to find yourself, and you want to find your purpose and your calling, and to begin the journey to get to that place, you need to ask yourself that question of, am I doing all that I am to become the all that I want? And if the answer is no, and the answer for 99% of people, including myself, is no, then you know what you need to do. You know what you need to do. It's not about fucking skill. It's not about the product. The product comes with the process. Love the process, trust the process, show up. Show up. Participate in the process for yourself or in service of whatever goal it is you are trying to achieve. And if you cannot do that, you will fail. You will fail. You not might fail, not will probably fail. You will fail. If you do not show up for yourself and show up in service to the goal that is trying to be achieved, you will fail. And framing yourself and your actions and the world through that lens can be fucking difficult, don't get me wrong. It really can. As I'm talking, I'm kind of putting some things that in my life through that perspective, and it's pretty uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's the truth. It's the truth. No matter how I shake it, no matter how I try and dance around it, no matter how I wish it and I beg and I pray that it weren't the truth, that's the truth. And I can do one of two things. I can sit there and accept it and just be like, man, fuck that, I can't do that, I don't want to do that, or I can get up and I can fucking do it. And as soon as I stop recording this, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna take action in service of the shit that I actually want to achieve. Because what else is there to do? The government are lying to you. University isn't real. You're in debt. You're broke. You're still living with your parents. Even you, after you did all the education shit, you out here scrolling TikTok on Twitter all day. Or you can pull your fucking socks up and you can get after it. That's it. Those are your options. Pick one. And fail. Fail. Just fail with consistency and intention. And if you fail with consistency and intention, eventually you will succeed. Or at the very least, make progress towards success. My vape's out of fucking battery. Fuck my life, bro. God shit. God shit. But no. I don't have much more to say on the topic of consistency. I don't really feel like I had much to say to begin with on the topic of consistency, to be perfectly honest, but it's the only thing I can really think to talk about. But I've kind of made a commitment in this one. This will henceforth be the documentation of the process of improvement, not simply just talking about why things are the way they are and what has already happened. Because what does that fucking solve? You know? It can provide insight to the people. It can, potentially warn people of hazards up the road. But what does it do for me? Not that much, other than force me to be present. So let's be present. Fuck it. Next one of these you see will be not on a topic. It'll just be dated. It'll just be dated. Day, month, year. That day. Kind of what's going on, what's going good, what's going wrong, how are we gonna fucking fix it? That is the purpose of this now. I've decided. Because, fuck it. Why not? Alright. 50 minutes. That'll do. That will do. I'm out in a bit.